Good morning, everyone. I am Mr. Holsenbach, and this is Geometry and Pre-ACE Math 2. We are April 2nd of 2020, and today we're going to complete the Quiz 9 study guide. So it would be beneficial for you right now to pause this video and reread the rules and notes that you wrote down on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And after you have reread your notes, hit play and proceed with the video. So here we go. Number one, in the circle, the measure of arc AD. That is right here. Here's arc AD. It's 92 degrees. The measure of angle D is 71 degrees. Angle D is right here, 71 degrees. Find the measure of DCQ. Alright, so we're looking for the measure of this angle. DCQ, this small angle down in here. And the measure of this small angle down in here is going to be half of arc DC, half of its intercepted arc. So the reason that they gave you this 71 was to tell you that the 71 is an inscribed angle, and an inscribed angle is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. So that makes arc A all the way around to C 142 degrees. So if C to A is 142 and A to D is 92, if you subtract those two arcs from 360, what you're left with is 126 degrees, which means this arc right here, DC, is 126 degrees. Well, then the measure of angle DCQ is going to be equal to 1/2 of its intercepted arc. So 1/2 of 126 is 63 degrees. Alright, in problem number 2, this angle BOC is a central angle, and it is congruent to its intercepted arc. So this is also 51 degrees. Now, angle X down here is an inscribed angle, and it is equal to 1/2 of its intercepted arc. So X is going to be equal to 1/2 of 51, and that's going to be 25.5 degrees. Alright, we've got a park maintenance person that stands 16 meters from a circular monument. Assume that her lines of sight form tangents to the monument and make an angle of 55 degrees. What is the measure of the arc of the monument that her lines of sight intersect? So we got to draw a picture here. We need our circular monument, and we need tangents to the monument. So here's our two tangents to the monument. Our tangents intersect the monument at, we can call it points A and B. Assume that our lines of sight form tangents to the monument and make an angle of 55 degrees. This angle is 55 degrees. What is the measure of the arc of the monument that our lines of sight intersect? So right here is what we're looking for. We need this arc length. Alright, so this is a little bit complicated, so stay with me here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to name these two arcs. Alright, we're going to call this around the outside, that portion of the arc, we're calling that the big arc. The red portion of the arc is we're going to call it the little arc. And since those two arcs combined form a circle, then 360 degrees is equal to big arc plus little arc. Your rule from yesterday regarding tangents and the angle formed by tangents outside of a circle said that the angle formed by the tangents is equal to 1/2 of the difference between the two arcs. So in this case, in our terminology, this would be 1/2 of big arc minus little arc. So if we clean this equation up right here and we divide both sides by 1/2, then we get 1/10 equals big arc minus little arc. Oops, little arc. So now we take this equation and we bring it up top. So 1/10 equals big arc minus little arc. So what we've created here is a system of equations, and we can use combination to solve for the big arc and the little arc. So if we combine these two equations, 360 and your 110, you get 470 equals a big arc plus another big arc. That's two big arcs. And a positive little arc and a negative little arc, that just cancels out. They go away. So if we divide both sides by 2, then 235 equals your big arc. So this big arc is 235 degrees. Well, if we go back to this original equation right here and we substitute, we can say that 360 equals the big arc, 235, plus the little arc. And now we can subtract 235 from each side. And 125 equals the little arc. That's what the question was looking for. What is the measure of the arc of the monument that our lines of sight intersect? So there it is, your little arc, 125 degrees. Be careful right here when you combine your BAs. A big arc plus another big arc is two big arcs. Alright, just highlight that, mark it up, remember it. It's a very important topic. Alright, so here again we've got the same type of problem, but you've already been given the drawing. So we're going to call this the big arc, and we're going to call this the little arc. And the furthest distance a satellite signal can directly reach is the length of the segment tangent to the curve of the Earth's surface. If the angle formed by the tangent satellite signal is 121, so now this angle right here is 121. What is the measure of the intercepted arc in the Earth? So we need this, we need the little arc. So again, 360 is equal to big arc plus little arc. And 121 is equal to 1/2 of the big arc minus the little arc. So divide by 1/2. And 242 equals big arc minus little arc. So we can bring that back up. And we can combine these equations. So your 360 and 242 is 602 equals 2 of your big arcs. If you divide by 2, then 301 is equal to the big arc. So there's the beginning of your solution. And now we're going to take this 301 and substitute it. 360 equals 301 plus the little arc. So subtract 301. 59 is equal to your little arc. That was the question. So 59 degrees. Number 5, the measure of angle S is 20 degrees. So keep in mind this 20-degree angle right here, this is an inscribed angle, which makes its intercepted arc from R to T 40 degrees. The measure of arc RS is 89, so from R around to S is 89 degrees. RU is tangent to the circle at R. Find a measure of angle U. So we need this angle measure right out here. Alright, so this is your rule related to a tangent and a secant. So the measure of this angle, the measure of angle U is going to be equal to 1/2 of, again it's the big arc minus the little arc, so 89 minus 40. So the measure of angle U is going to be equal to 1/2 of 49, and half of 49 is equal to 24.5 degrees. Number 6, if the measure of arc BY is 32, what is the measure of angle YAC? So here is YAC down here. Well, we said earlier that the measure of this angle is half of its intercepted arc, and this is its intercepted arc. Well, this segment BA, it goes right through the center of the circle, which makes it a diameter, so it cuts the circle in half. Alright, so the right half of this circle, these two arcs have to sum 180. So if you take 180 and you subtract 32, that leaves you 148 degrees, which means the arc YA is 148 degrees. Well, that means the measure of angle YAC is equal to 1/2 of 148 degrees. So the measure of angle YAC is going to be equal to 74 degrees. Alright, number 7, we're back to a big angle, little angle problem. Find the measure of the value of AB. Here's what we're looking for, this angle. I'm sorry, this arc. For the measure of P equals 68, so 68 degrees. Alright, so around the back, A, L, B, we're going to call that the big arc. The red arcs, the little arc. Since they form a circle, they have to sum 360. So 360 equals big arc plus little arc. The angle formed, 68, is equal to 1/2 of the big arc minus the little arc. Again, if you divide both sides by 1/2, that gives you 136 equals big arc minus little arc. So bring it up here, 136 equals big arc minus little arc. So 496 equals 2 big arcs, and we can divide both sides by 2. So 248 is equal to your big arc. If 248 is your big arc, we can substitute up top. So 360 equals 248 plus little arc. And subtract 248 from each side. So 112 is equal to the little arc. I don't know why I like coloring that one in with green, because I did a lot of work, so I want to make sure everybody sees it. This is your careful spot right here. A big arc plus a big arc is 2 big arcs. Alright, number 8. If you hear my phone dinging in the background, it's because my son's wife is giving birth as we speak, so we just have to deal with it. Find the value of x for the measure of arc AB equals 22. Alright, so 22 degrees. And the measure of arc CD is 34 degrees. Alright, this comes from, I think it was Monday's notes. That x, that angle, would be equal to 1/2 of the sum of the intercepted arcs. So now we got 34 plus 22. So x is going to be equal to 1/2 of 56. And half of 56 is 28. And we're in degrees. Number 9, find the measure of angle D. Here's angle D. For the measure of B equals 51. Alright, if angle B equals 51, angle B is an inscribed angle, and its intercepted arc, we'll call it this red arc right here. This would be its intercepted arc, and its measure would be twice the 51, so that's 102. This arc around the outside would be equal to 360 minus 102. So that arc is 258 degrees. So 258. So the measure of angle D. The measure of angle D is going to be equal to 1/2. That's big arc minus little arc. And 258 minus 102. So the measure of angle D is going to equal 1/2 of 156. And half of 156 is 78 degrees. Number 10, what do we got here? The measure of arc DE, 104. And BC, 62. Find the measure of angle A. Here's our angle A. Another big arc, little arc problem. So the measure of angle A is equal to half of big arc minus little arc. So that gives us half of 42, and half of 42 is 21 degrees. Number 11. In the circle, arc BC is 76 degrees. Okay, arc BC. B to C. 76 degrees. Find the measure of BCP. BCP. Alright, this is a gimme, guys. So the measure of angle BCP is going to be equal to half of its intercepted arc, and that's 76. So half of 76 is 38 degrees. And number 12, last but not least, find the measure of angle BAC. Here's BAC right here. BAC is an inscribed angle, which means that it's going to measure half of its intercepted arc. Angle BOC is a central angle, and it is congruent to its intercepted arc. That makes arc BC 56 degrees. And if angle A is half of its intercepted arc, then the measure of angle A is equal to 1/2 of 56. Half of 56 is 28 degrees. And that concludes your Quiz 9 study guide. Your Quiz 9 will be posted to Focus tomorrow. Be sure to review your notes for the study guide and your notes throughout the week before logging on to Focus and taking the quiz. I won't talk to you again, so everybody have a great weekend. Maintain your social distance. Stay safe and stay healthy.